Hi, my name is Vlcek, and I'm very happy to be here teaching a classroom for TQS. I'm going to be teaching fabric embellishing. This is the project that we're going to work on. It's a small quilt with a peppering of all different kinds of embellishments that you might like to try for some of your quilts at home. I'm one of the authors of Fabric Embellishing, Basics and Beyond. Many of the techniques that we're going to do in this class can be found in this book, and then so much more. So if you're really excited about embellishing, you can find this book at Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, Joann's Fabric, those kind of places. All right, so over the course of our classroom, I'm going to be covering, if you can't see everything on this, don't panic. We're going to go into detail of every little step in each classroom as we get there. The things that we're going to do for this project is we're going to start with some raw edge applique, really basic shapes. Adding shapes and seams and edges are all opportunities for embellishing. So we're going to add some shapes. We're going to do some text on your fabric, both as an applique and printing from your computer. We're going to be doing some quilting with metallic thread, which might sound a little scary, but I'm going to give you some tips for success and show you ways that you can adjust your own machine so that you can do stitching with metallic threads and have it work out and have it actually be fun. We're also going to use some of the pre-programmed decorative stitches that your machine has to quilt with. When I first started quilting, I was not very good at free motion. I'm still not quite there yet, and so it was intimidating to me. If I just pick a decorative stitch on my machine, it works the same way every time and it's beautiful. So we'll do a little bit of that. We're also going to do some very basic hand stitching with Valdani threads and some silk and pearl threads. We'll do running stitch and lazy daisy, French knots, some basic fundamentals that'll get you some great results with embellishing. And then my personal favorite is bead embroidery. We're going to be doing a few basic bead embroidery stitches, and we're going to use sequins, beads, bugle beads, and buttons. So some people might be saying, well, what exactly is embellishing? You know, just to get us right to the very basic building blocks. Embellishing is taking something that is already existing and adding to it or enhancing it in some way. So for this classroom, we're going to have something to start with. We're going to have something that we're going to embellish on and add shapes to. So for your downloadable pattern for this week on the intro, I've written out, we're going to make this tiny little quilt that has 6 blocks on it. I've written out exactly the sizes to cut all 6 of your fabrics, and then you'll put them together as you normally do a quilt with 1/4 inch seams. You can feel free to press open or to either side, whatever you're comfortable with. When you're going to embellish a project, you want to think about the foundation as well as what you're adding on top of it. So I'd like to encourage you to use some different fabric contents than you might be used to your normal quilting weight content. On the quilt sample that I've used, on the sky block, I've used a Robert Kaufman Essex linen. It has a coarser texture and a matte finish, so it plays really well with our metallic threads. On the buds block, I have used, again, a Robert Kaufman fabric. This is a silk cotton blend, and it's called Radiance. It's made for the quilting industry, and when you quilt on something that has a high sheen, like this silk blend, your quilting stitches show up. I mean, it's just fantastic. It's fabulous. So if you've never used a different fabric mixed in with your quilting cottons, you probably know, even if you haven't used them, that they have a different hand. The silk is much thinner and it's a little bit more loosey-goosey than your quilting weight cotton, so it's harder to embellish on because it's so thin and fine. So what I'm going to have you do is use a product that's called Shapeflex. This is a 100% cotton, woven, fusible interfacing. It has a really great hand to it, just like your quilting weight cottons, and it has a rough side. You can feel with your finger that it's like bumpy and nubbly. That is your fusible, that's your glue. So you don't want that facing your ironing board, or you're going to glue it to your ironing board. So I've got the bumpy side face up on my ironing surface, and then I'm going to put my silk with the wrong side touching the glue. Now, this brings me to a really great tip for any project. Anytime you're using a multiple of different fabric contents, set your iron for the one that needs the coolest setting. In this case, it's going to be our silk. Our silk setting is the coolest. And then leave it on that silk setting for your entire project. That way, if you press cotton and you have it set on cotton and then you accidentally bump over to your silk, you're not going to scorch it. I mean, you would scorch it if you're set for cotton, but if you're set for silk for everybody, you're not going to scorch anything. And it'll press your cotton. You just might have to hold it on there a little bit longer. Okay, so I'm just pretending here with my handy dandy little pretend iron, but we'll pretend that I'm set at silk setting. I'm going to set it onto my fabric and hold for a few seconds, pick it up and hold until I have successfully fused my interfacing all the way entirely around on my silk piece. You can see it here, and now it has a hand much more similar to your cottons. It'll be great to work with. You can work with it just as cotton, but remember, set your iron at silk. Okay, so your homework for the introduction, just so you're ready to hit the ground running in lesson 1, is to put together your quilt. This is going to be the background for all of our embellishing. All right, I'm going to give you a couple of incentives to go ahead and work with me on this project. You know, we all learn from each other and everybody has such great ideas. It's fun to see what all of the students out there as the family of TQS do. And so to encourage you to post your pictures and work on the project along with everybody else, I have put together what I'm calling a companion pack of the embellishments. It's not a kit, it's not the entire quilt exactly as mine looks, because I'm sure everybody wants to have their own fingerprint. You have your own cotton stash, but it's all of the specialty items, the silk, the linen, the interfacing, all of the rickrack, ribbon, buttons, sequins, all of those kinds of things. You can look on the downloadable PDF and see exactly what's included in that kit. I have that available for you in my Etsy store, which is also written on your downloadable PDF, but it is lawrensfiberart.etsy.com. So there's a pack that will have just enough of a sampling of everything that's on my quilt for you to try out every little sample. I also have a shopping list. If you really want to buy, I think there's about 8 different sequins I used on here. If you really want to buy the whole full 400 piece pack of every color of sequin, if you want to buy any of the embellishments that I've used on here, the specialty threads, if you want to buy yardage of the linen, or I will list all of that as a shopping list. So you can go either way. Companion pack, shop for what you want to shop for. Also, as an incentive to get you to post your pictures so that we can, you know, share and learn along together, each week, if you post a picture of your progress, so for the introduction, it'll be your pieced quilt base. Each week that you post a picture of what you're doing, I'll put your name in a drawing. And at the end of our 6-week, 1 introduction and 5 lessons, you can have a maximum of 6 entries. I'll have someone on the TQS staff pull out of all the names listed in there, and I will give away this quilt to one of the people who has worked along with us. I'll sign it on the back and put a date. I'll give you a little note and send it to one lucky winner. So I'm super excited about this class. I hope you are too. If you've never done embellishments, it's just enough to get a little taste of a lot of things. And if you're a fan of embellishment like I am, you know, you get to do the party of all different kinds of things. So join me next week on lesson 1 and have your quilt base ready. That's your homework. Thanks so much.